Why South Africa is still segregated. You all know that in South Africa, they have different, townships. They have places where the big people, the rich people live, different classes of people, and you are not expected to live there. It's not like in Nigeria where if I have money today, I can buy a house in places like Meitama, Asokoro, all those places. Those in South Africa, they have segregated everything. Everybody, this one has this for the high and mighty, that's where they live. You cannot go close there. This side is for where the white people live. You cannot even go there. And just recently, about I think maybe around 10 years ago, they had this particular country that came to form itself, form another country in South Africa, which they said they are still developing part of that same place. So here you hear a lot of things. There's a place called Nomzamo. Nomzamo is a place is very close to is this strand they call it, but there's a road demarcating them. In Nomzamo, they have compacted houses, while in Strand they have backyards, this kind of thing. In Nomzamo, they call it, they have fewer basic services. They don't have pipe-borne water, they don't have internet service. A lot is going on in this part, but just a road, just few meters demarcating Strand and Monzamo. And you see that in Strand they have very beautiful houses, terraces, townhouses and all, walkways, paved walkways. But it's different from this other side where the people just live their lives, their normal basic life, and it's nothing to really, you can't even believe that it's the same country. So let's move on. Nonzamo is black. 83, they are full of black people in that place, like 92% blacks, while the other side they are 83% white. So you, by all this, you understand that it's not something. See, this is why they need to really calm down and stop. Nigerians are not your problem. Do you understand? They are not your problem. A lot is going on that you people don't know. Hey, God. I've always really not dug into anything that has to do with South Africa. I don't even go into it. But since you people started coming for Nigerians and digging into Nigerians and calling us drug dealers and all, we sell white powder, I said no. I would do a normal documentary about you. I don't need to call you names, because I've told you that every lies you told about Nigeria, I debunked them. They are all unfounded. And so let's go on. In South Africa, the color of your skin tells where you live. Can you imagine? And here you have black, African, colored, Indian or Asian, white or others. You have Durban, you have Pretoria, you have Johannesburg, you have Cape Town. See, the thing is, I sometimes feel for these people because they don't even know where their problem lies. It's just like living in Abuja now, and you are living like where the rich people live. You don't go there, only white people live there. You dare not even do that in Nigeria. Like, our laws will not even let you do that. Where you say, no, you can't buy land. I told you people the incident of how a particular race came and said they were not selling. They are not open to Nigerians to sell. The government shut down their store. Shut down. They begged and wrote letters. This thing, the ambassador had to go to the president to beg. It was a serious matter. So, when people leave the real people to be fighting and pursuing shadows, it shocks me. Anyway, let's read comments. Let's read the comments. Somebody says, as a South African, I can tell you that the divide between the poor and the rich is stark. It's gigantic. Like, if you go to Stark, the place is gigantic. It's big. It's beautiful. It has beautiful houses. This one say Airbus A380 to 800 white is in the mix. This one says same in America. This one say Airbus. Okay, he's just talking about the cost of all of that. And then this one said, as a person who has never been to South Africa, I can confirm that I've never been to South Africa. This person said, as a South African, I say that our greatest failure is that we could not establish a professional functioning government. This one say, as a South African, I would have hoped they mentioned how corrupt the government is and how they are the reason why we are spiraling, we are whatever, out of control. I don't know what she wanted to type, out of control. But I think they should pause and leave the government and blame themselves also, because the government is not the one on every comment section insulting other countries. The government is not the ones hating on Nigerian. The government is not the one hating on Zimbabweans. It is the South Africans, the blacks. Have you ever paused for one time to ask yourself, why are the white South Africans never in a fight with anybody? Have you asked yourself that question? If you're a South African watching this, ponder on this. Why are the these white South Africans never in any fight with any country, but you guys are always the one? Anyway, I understand, because you are always living in fear that, hey, somebody's coming to take over your country. So that's why people you are supposed to be going for, you cannot even go to their houses. You can't work for them, because rather they take you to their farms. That's where you work. This was as a Chinese guy working in the government of South Africa. I have to say that the government is horribly corrupt. A South African, a Chinese working in South Africa say the government is horribly corrupt. This one, I don't know whether it is the Nigerian people that are in the government helping them to do the corruption. This one, thank you for covering this. This other person said the fact that it's literally separated by a little pathways. This one say my English grandparent, mother and aunt lived in Port Elizabeth from early 1979 to the end of 1981 before returning to England. Part of the reason they did not stay was because of how upsetting they all found living with apartheid to be. My family is all white. My mother and aunt played with Afrikaner colored and black children and did not understand why the white Africans adult would hassle them. The mother actually learned to speak Xhosa fluently. I remembered my grandmother telling me a story that one day while in the family apartment, she was watching an enormous fire blow from the nearby black community, and she called the fire brigade. She did not give them the exact address, but instead directed them to the nearest White House in the hopes they would not stop to check whether the fire was actually within the white boundary. When the fire brigade arrived, they stopped at the boundary, hovered for about a minute before switching off the siren and returning to the station. Over a dozen people, including children, died in that fire. That was the moment my grandparents decided they could not raise their daughters in that country, even if returning to England meant my grandfather would be on the dole. Thinking of the fire still makes my nan cry to today. Wow. So that's what South Africans are going through in their own country. Maybe it wasn't even their country, because people are telling me on the comment section that South Africa emanated from Congo. Some say they migrated from Congo. Some say they migrated from Nigeria. So maybe it's the whites that actually own South Africa. Who knows? This one say, are fire engines and firemen labor free? Go read the history of the ant and the grasshopper. This one say, I can explain why that happened if you look at the documentary when they pan over the townships. When the people build their homes in the townships, they build them out of sheet metal and wood that they find. They also build on top of each other so that families can stay together for a safety aspect. They also don't build them with things like fire trucks, ambulances and police vehicles in mind, and to these types of vehicles cannot get to people in the fire or if a person is in the emergency. If you can't get your vehicle to the scene to help, there is nothing you can do other than to go back to the station and help others that you can't get. So if they are building houses like that, townships like that, can the government and you people talk about it? You people say you are enjoying in South Africa, but hey man, this documentary is this one. No one is born hating another person because of the color of their skin or his background or his religion, because most people must learn to hate. If they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love. For love comes from naturally to the human heart than its opposite. Nelson Mandela. As a South African, I can say that the divide between the rich and the poor is still a great as before. As an Indian whose parents grew up in a very poor neighborhood. I am very fortunate to have the life that I have, but while a few managed to have a new life after apartheid, most have not changed. This one say, thanks for covering this story. I feel it's gonna take generations to fix the lasting effects of the apartheid. And see now, a lot of them don't even know what the apartheid is. They have not asked, they've not read about it. They will come on comment section and be lying. When Nigerians saw that South Africans were suffering during the apartheid, they woke up and came to their rescue. But of course, you know these people. This one say, as a South African, I believe that change will only come when our leaders decide to stop being greedy. We need leaders who really care about the people. I also think there should be a qualification or some sort of assessment a person should go through before being taken to be the minister or any other position there is up there. We are doomed, but I still have an ounce of hope. This one said the most shocking part of this side from it having happened at all is just how recently it is ended. It's gonna take ages to right these wrongs. This person said, I remember when I was in South Africa, we drove past a huge gated community in Cape Town with a golf course in the middle. We would heard earlier that there was a drought, so many of the townships didn't have access to clean water that summer, but the golf course had sprinkling flowing around it all day along. They pretty much summed up the situation across the country. They cross the country emo. This one said, for those who think geography is just memorize countries and capital cities, they is the real geography. Please keep doing this kind of videos. Greetings from wherever he is. This one say, I am not European, but I have to admit that Europeans manage things well, even in rural areas. In Russia, it takes cleaner and more space, but some people will still call it racism. Maybe we should have started to reflect ourselves. Some people still say it's racism, but why will you not allow people to go to certain places in their own country? Make it make sense. I don't support that, Sha.